1972.
Absolutely.
To God's glory. Yes, so I was born to two civil servants. My parents both worked in the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes, please.
Both passed away. My father 25 years ago, my mother 5 years ago.
Yes, please.
Have you heard this generation of, I don't even know call them the youth or
the Clarky people?
No. They say that is it a Clarky people? It's just a certain generation or calling people who've passed the late. My father is late.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know how that characterization.
I don't know how it happens.
I don't.
I hear it came from borrowed from our neighbors from across the whatever. But anyway, I mean it irks me no end. Anyway, so both parents passed. One 25 years ago, the other 5 years ago.
Yes, please.
The one thing I've always said to people is that my parents, like I said, they were civil servants, but so they didn't have tons of cash.
Yes, indeed.
But the one thing that they were committed to from the very beginning, from the very get-go, was to ensure that my brother and I just have one brother, so we're two siblings.
Very much.
Were given the very best possible education.
Indeed.
They always say, look, we can't give you riches, we can't give you this, but we'll ensure that in terms of the quality of education, you had everything you needed.
Indeed.
Okay, so we'll give you that leverage in life. So very early on, we were enrolled in Christ the King, which is a Catholic school. We're not Catholic. It was just at the time, yes, all of those people. At the time for them, it was the best primary school.
But Richard was there. Why are you saying that?
I said the best, not one of the best. So the best primary school in Ghana. Richard definitely was one of the best.
Okay.
So we were enrolled there to start kindergarten. So I went through kindergarten to class 6, wrote my common entrance examination. That's a whole different story. But
yeah.
In the end, did relatively well.
Absolutely.
Got admitted into Achimota School.
Yes.
And so I was privileged to study in Achimota School for all 7 years of my secondary education. So at the time, of course, it was the O-level and A-level. So from 1 to 5 O-level and 6 form for A-level. And yes, I was privileged to do all 7 years in Achimota School. Achimota School provided me the foundation of who it is that I am today.
Yes, please.
Bob, you were there as well, so
Absolutely.
you know that it was pumped into us from the very beginning.
Yes,
that, yes, you've come here primarily for education, right? The traditional 3 hours, reading, writing, arithmetic. But Achimota offered us more than that.
No question.
We were told and they ensured that we're being given a holistic education.
No question.
A focus on the 3 H's. The head, which essentially deals with all the 3 hours, reading, writing, arithmetic, but beyond, over and above the head, the heart and the hand.
Absolutely.
So that, of course, gave me the H part, the head part, the quality of education, but it also taught me to relate to everybody on an equal footing, regardless of whether you've come from, but once again, Achimota, from Kambaga to Accra, or from Yosu to Kita. In Achimota, we didn't see tribe. We didn't see Ghans, we didn't see Evers, we didn't see Northerners. It was just, we were all there.
Indeed.
We were brothers, we were sisters.
Indeed.
We were struggling together,
Indeed.
doing sports together, doing cultural stuff together, doing the choir together. It was a level playing field, the cadets. It was just a level playing field where everybody had the opportunity to excel. So you try this, it works, you go there, it doesn't work, you can try several other things. And so lots of us became jacks of many trades, some became specialists. But we also learned to respect each other.
Indeed.
We also learned to sacrifice for each other.
Indeed.
We also learned to be there for each other. So it gave us that holistic education. And then, of course, from there, I went to the University of Ghana, studied economics and psychology.
But you were in Legon Hall.
I was in the hall.
You have to say it.
I have to say it well.
There's some Cornwall people watching the show. So.
Of course, the gentleman that I am, I was in Legon Hall, and so yes, University of Ghana cemented that Achimotan experience. Okay. People have asked me about Achimota School. Beyond the education, I also am particularly proud that I look at myself and say, don't look at what I look like now. I was quite a very good sportsman.
Indeed.
My discus record, set in 1991, I believe it was, is still the school's record to this day.
Oh, okay.
I left Achimota School as Sportsman of the Year in 1991. I was a prefect. I did this, that, and the other. So once again, I left Achimota School a totally well-rounded Achimota, and hopefully going out there as living waters to a thirsty land.
Indeed, indeed. Okay. So you transitioned into Legon, did your undergrad, did your master's, started working. But today you are national president. And I saw you last week in some video making a passionate appeal in relation to a health post or health facility you want to establish. Can you sort of walk us through how you got the presidency and why this is on your heart as we approach 100 years, sir?
I will. But just when you recounted my Legon experience, so I did a first degree in Legon, I did a master's degree in Legon.
Yes, please.
It just hit me that you're actually the reason why I went and did that master. Do you remember?
The MBA in marketing,
yes.
absolutely.
I probably have never said that.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much for that. Yes,
my pleasure.
So I did do an MBA in marketing because you insisted that I go do it.
Indeed.
And this was 2 years after my first degree, so I was busy trying to make ends meet. So we managed to work and do the degree at the same time. So thank you very much.
Remember AC Mills, Robert?
I remember all of those, all those classmates. Unfortunately, a few of them have passed on since then. But anyway, to God's glory, here we are, and thanks to your
thank you, sir,
instigating, pushing, and forcing us to go do it.
Indeed,
I appreciate that very much. But back to your question. So look, yes, I have put out that video about Achimota School and the reason why I think that all Accra should come together to support the building of a clinic for Achimota School. In that video, I also say that when we were in school, the total student population in the entire school was 1,700, if that. How do we arrive at that? We're typically 45, 50 in a class. Even if you use the outside number, say 50 in a class, there were 6 streams, A to F. So that's 300 per stream, 5 years, 1,500. Sixth form was 60 science, 70 arts. Even if you say 100 each, that's 1,700. We're less than that. Now, today, for 3 streams, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, the entire student population of Achimota School is 4,800, Robert. 4,800. What that means is that the Achimota School, as we knew it, the 1,700, that was the entire school population, is the number that comes into the school each year now. Think about it. Think about what that means for facilities that haven't been expanded. Back in the day, we used to pride ourselves, we used to do the rotation and go to the swimming pool. Today, the students can't even swim. I mean, the number of students in one dorm will literally fill the pool. One dorm in one house.
Wow.
How do you put 4,800 students in that pool? Back in the day, the Achimota Hospital was purpose-built for Achimota School.
Yeah.
We used to pride ourselves that it was a city, the great city. Once you go there, we had our own police station, we had our own swimming pool. Of course, we had various facilities. We had a police station, we had the hospital, and all of those things. Things have changed since then. And today, the Achimota Hospital is not only for Achimota School; it's been designated a district hospital. And what that means is that everybody in that catchment area can and does attend Achimota Hospital, which is fine. But what that does for us, the Achimotan community and the students of Achimota School, is that unfortunately the students don't get the level of care that they should be getting.
Indeed.
So to address that concern, I think it's important that we build this purpose-built first point of call clinic for Achimota School.
Indeed.
To focus on the students and I guess the staff. Now, as we celebrate Achimota at 100, I think it's also important, as I give this example, to go back to what the vision was for Achimota. It was supposed to be a school that you could enter as early as 5 in the basic school and go right through to 6th form and even go to the university.
You should see that those who went only the basic school say, I was also there.
Oh, they were there.
Primary school say, okay.
they call themselves accurates. The debate is still on as to whether we should even separate the accurates. But it was one huge institution. Absolutely. So there was it was 2 departments, basic department and the secondary department, or primary department and secondary department. Anyway, so whatever it is that we're building, in all probability, the primary school would also use it, right? Because they're suffering the same thing that the secondary school is suffering. So it's not only for a 4,800 population, it's a potential 8,000 population entity. So it's like going to serve as a first point of call. You go there, you get stabilized. If it's given where we're locating it, it's the current location is where the old basketball used to be.
Yeah, very much.
For the sake of your audience who may not be Achimotan, that's like right in front of the what is the Achimota Hospital today. So if it was a
York City was.
York City. Absolutely. If there was a major emergency, you can quickly refer them either to Achimota Hospital or to UGMC if it's that much of an emergency. Or worst case scenario, you can stabilize them and pick up the phone and call a parent and say, your child is here, blah, 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 come for that child or whatever it is. So that's what one of the things that we want to give as Accra, we want to give Achimota School as we turn 100. I'm proud to say that this administration, under my leadership also, as Achimota turns 100, have committed to giving a number of projects to Achimota School on different levels. So through the OAA, we have 2 Accras who are giving a boarding house each to Achimota School, a boys' boarding house. With the help of the Department of Urban Roads, as Achimota turns 100. You know, we're supposed to have a second oval. As we've expanded around that oval now, there's a new assembly hall, there's a new chapel. The school, it's a big school, it's expanded there, and it hasn't been tarred for forever. That is going to be done starting now. So there's that, there's the boarding house. We're also looking to refurbish our OA secretariat. Quite a number of projects. We're turning Achimota School, if you will, into
a model city.
Yeah, exactly. So all of that is we're going to try to do as much of it before the centenary as possible, and of course we'll continue after that. So those are some of the things that are coming up. But I want to use this platform to appeal to all Accras, not just Accras, but everybody who cares about the welfare of children in these schools, to corporate bodies as well, to help us make this dream of gifting Achimota School a clinic for its 100th birthday a reality. The word is out there. We're asking for donations, sponsorships, and of course there's branding opportunity, a recognition opportunity for anybody who supports. There's naming rights for the entire building, there are naming rights for consulting rooms within the building, the laboratory, we've broken them up into smaller sizes, so anybody who's giving us that significant amount that we're asking for gets opportunity to have naming rights in perpetuity for these various rooms and places within the clinic itself. I think it's a critical
$1,000 or
$1,000 per individual if you can. But look, at the end of the day, those are the figures that given that we want to break sword on the 1st of May and want to finish completion by the end of the year, use January and February to kit it and hand it over by Founders Day, which is typically in March. We're asking for these donations because we've got a lot to be able to cover. But at the end of the day, we want everybody to be able to say they contributed to this project. So if indeed all you have is 100 CDs, by all means send it through. But we're hoping that people will dig a little deeper and be able to provide us, say $1,000, whether it's the CD equivalent or actual $1,000, whatever it is that you can do. We will recognize you on those platforms.
I think post the fiscal structures as well, I think Achimota has produced some particularly illustrious doctors across the world.
Yes.
So I remember you alluding to them and sort of speaking to the resources they could also contribute.
Absolutely. I mean, for those ones who actually got quite a bit of that inspiration from Achimota School. Indeed. I think that, well, it touches all of that, but I'm hoping that they will feel a little more touched to be able to provide not just the care for the current students, but also to be able to create an environment where other people so inspired will flourish and become like them or the rest of us in future. So yes, I am. They say the fingers of the hand are not equal, right? So indeed. Some are more well endowed than others in terms of finances, and I'm hoping that they say to whom much is given, much is expected. I'm just hoping that all of us who are a little bit more doing a little better than the average will also do a little better than the average as far as this is concerned. At the end of the day, we want to give back to society. So
we'll come back to your substantive marketing communications track record, but since we are in Achimota, there's also another illustrious Achimotan who we had the pleasure of working with some 20, 25, 30 years ago, who passed on. And so in the scheme of things, I think you are in the throes of organizing some fellowship to honor his memory.
Yes.
Can you sort of walk us through that a bit?
So Daniel Ampedichum Jr., I call him Junior, but I guess for the sake of an official conversation like this, his full name was Daniel Ampedichum. Some called him Dan, some called him Danny. Junior was a particularly brilliant mind. In their day, Junior topped common entrance across West Africa. He was unfortunately not a product of Christ the King or Richard. He was a product of Northwood Lyceum.
Indeed.
Did extremely well, went to Achimota School, did well at the O level. Typical Achimotan all-rounder, played volleyball for the school, played football for the school, played for Cadbury House, did everything. He went to tech, became an electrical engineer, finished electrical engineering, and decided that over and above what it is that he had been taught, there was the natural, we used to tease the natural Kwewu tendency to be an entrepreneur. So
he was doing birthday cards.
Everything. He was doing a little bit of everything. But then that led to his interest in setting up, getting into advertising and setting up various companies under what started as Unicorn Inc. Limited became the Unicorn Group.
Correct.
Had individual companies, Genesis, Imprint, AdSpace, Platform before he passed, and then of course Ads Direct that then became Originate, Saatchi and Saatchi. Junior was the reason why. I mentioned earlier that my first degree was economics and psychology. At the time I was doing economics and psychology, I was thinking of going into banking. Okay?
Oh, okay.
I've said in various forums that my story is one of opportunity that has typically come out of adversity.
Okay.
So you recall, Bob, that back in the day, when we were in school, I was in school. I went to university in 1992. So for that 3-year degree, I was supposed to have finished in 1995.
Correct.
That was the time. I guess students, lecture, government disagreements were very happening frequently in those days. But somehow, over that 3-year period, it came to a head.
Yeah.
Over that 3-year period, I think there were 12 different aluters.
Yeah.
So Tewu would go, then what are their names? Tewu, Utag would go, then Tewu would go and say, why have you given Fusag?
Yeah.
Then, so it would be 1 month. Then they will go back and come back, and then we'll go. And it will be 6 weeks. It went on and on. But somehow between my second year, exactly, between my second year and my third year,
exactly,
there was a 9-month break.
Exactly.
So our 3-year degree program now became a 4-year degree program.
Indeed.
In that period, we had to find something to do. And so a bunch of us started organizing various things. Of course, there were the various hall weeks, this, that, and the other. Incidentally, so that was 1995. That was when Radio I had just started. So a bunch of us... Exactly. And led by Joy FM. Yeah?
Okay.
Followed by Joy FM.
Indeed.
So a couple of us got together. Elvis Ifeanyi Ankara was SRC president then, Ernest Afram, Moses Darocha.
Ernest Afram?
Wow, okay. Those were the SRC executives.
Indeed.
Honorable Haruna, who was NUG's president at the time. I was chairman of the SRC Entertainment Committee.
Okay.
So we came together and started a radio station.
Oh, wow.
The Voice of Legon, which is today, I believe, Radio Universe.
Oh,
okay,
wow.
so we started Voice of Legon back in the day. So we're doing a little bit of everything. And in that process, I got a little more interested in selling, marketing, engaging clients, trying to figure out what their needs were, and trying to find the solution for those needs. So we organized the first ever University of Ghana beauty pageant.
I thought so. That was at the School of Admin. I remember. There was a famous lady who won.
That was us. So in that process, young students, we had to go to Unilever for the first time, take them a proposal, and they rubbished it. What is this? What do we get? So we had to come back and figure out, okay, so what are we supposed to, what do we offer them? Branding on the stage, what is branding? You know, that kind of thing. So that whole process, I got very interested in that whole marketing, advertising, branding, events. So it was through that. Junior was in tech, like I said, I was in Legon. He had left tech, he had started this entity. Through then, Kenneth Awuku at the time. So I had finished. Okay. Kenneth Awuku Akpache had become...
Wasn't he just your president?
He was just your president. So he had come to me and
I was supposed to take over and then I ran home. When they did the elections, the day they were supposed to vote, I ran home. He has insulted me ever since. I was contesting after him.
So Ken came to me and said, Charlie, we're trying to get sponsorship for the second edition of Miss Legon, right?
Okay.
So please. I said, listen, Charlie, we've been doing this thing. Now we have final exam. I have to focus on passing these exams. He said, Charlie, if that's all you do, please do that for us. So I was in my room one day. He came and said, look, they're having a meeting in the Legon Hall dining hall. The advertising agency for Ashfoam, they had approached Ashfoam then for sponsorship, was coming to meet with them. So can I come in and help them explain? And So I went in. So I was in that meeting, and lo and behold, who walks in? Junior. And I'm thinking, my guy, what are you doing here? To be honest, I thought boys being boys, he was coming to, Water Hall is not too far. So they said, oh, that's the agency we're talking. But electrical engineer, how? So Charlie, he started something small in advertising, blah blah. Anyway, so we worked together on that, Miss Legon.
Hold on. On that electrical note, we'll take a short break and come back with more of Titans and Trailblazers. Stay tuned. Welcome back from the break. We were on an electrical engineering note. He walked in such a Junior. What's up? What do they do for here? Please, what happened? What did he say?
Anyway, so we came together, finished Miss Legon, and then Junior said, Charlie, what are your plans after school? Because really, I mean, I think this was in May. I was finishing in June, right?
Yes.
And I said, oh, Charlie, back at that time, I'd spoken about, so parents had both retired, both impromptu, political, we can go into that later. But anyway, so at the time, I was having to do a little more than a regular student would have to do to support myself in school.
Indeed.
To support my brother who was in PSEC then.
Indeed.
And help family, right? So Junior said, and I said, Charlie, I've gotten an opportunity to go to the US. So this year, he said, oh, don't go, let's do something. I said, Junior, as they say, every man runs according to what's chasing him. You have no idea what's chasing me, Charlie. There's no debate. I mean, I hadn't even had to spend my own money on a ticket. Through something we're doing for the SRC, I had gotten I shouldn't go. I said, Junior, that's no option. So I did go. I did 6 months in the States doing stuff, holidaying, blah, blah, blah. After 6 months, I figured, you know what? I'm not cut out for this. I'm going to head back home. Plus, my parents were growing older. I just didn't want to get into a situation where, touch wood, something would happen to them and I'll be stuck out there, you know? So I headed back. But before I headed back, I went in July, I believe, from November. Now, back in the day, this was Junior calling me in the States. I think it was like, I don't know, $5 a minute, something ridiculous like that. He would call for like 30 minutes, trying to convince me to come. I said, Charlie, this is not happening. So this was November, and then I hit December, and I hit the winter, the real cold. Then Junior would call. So I look, the weather, and having to walk to go and do the things I had to go and do.
Yeah.
And the call to come back home. Charlie, put 1 and 2 together and say, you know what? Okay. At the time also, my visa was expiring, right? I went in July, I had a 6-month entry, so my visa was expired in January. I figured, you know what? There's nothing to lose. Let me just go and try this thing. So I came back to Ghana in January of 1997 on what was supposed to be a trial. I met Junior and Brigadier Chum then, or Uncle Dan as I called him. We had a conversation in our office in Adabraka.
Adabraka, yes.
At the time, it wasn't even 2 floors, right? It was just the ground floor.
Okay.
We had to occupy the top floor.
Okay.
We had that conversation. They said, look, don't go. Let's do this together, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay. If I have to be honest, in my mind, I was going to do 6 months of national service. I was going to give it at 6 months. I was all in, 6 months trial. But honestly, given the things I had to do, given my responsibilities, given the level of expenditure I needed to support, I honestly didn't think this was going to do it, right? So I figured, look, you're here, as I would typically do, give it your all for 6 months. But I thought, look, after 6 months, I still have a visa, get back on that. But the rest, they say, is history. We did 6 months. Clients like Ash Foam, God bless me, Rohiti and the Hiti family, Duoplast, you joined us a little later, the Manfofos of this world, Silver Star Auto, everything just became, we got known as the new kids of the block.
No
right?
question.
We were pitching for various things. We lost our first attempt at
GSMF International.
No, we won GSMF, but we lost our first attempt at international affiliation.
Oh,
We were bidding then for DDB.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, absolutely.
We lost. We won. We were told we won based on quality of our portfolio, the quality of the creative thinking, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, for those affiliates coming in, they were looking at your balance, right?
Yeah.
We were a startup.
Yeah.
A startup.
The billings
agency.
were not millions of dollars.
Guess who we went to? We went to Media Number 1 then. They had that. So Media Number 1 became Media Number 1 DDB. They had that, and then they started the Metro TV TV station.
Absolutely.
Look at the numbers. There was no competition. So we let that go. And our next opportunity, we then went on and won. Thanks to Alex Balfour, Rudy Loco, Kojo Loco, the GSMF crew at the time. Won an opportunity to do a trial run with a GSMF product.
Absolutely.
Aganzi condoms.
Absolutely.
Now, the beauty about that was that it wasn't just another product. It was actually a new product.
Absolutely.
And that Aganzi experience actually gave us the opportunity to come up with a product from scratch.
Absolutely.
So we were involved not just in the end, promo part, the communications part.
It was the
we
ideation.
came up with a name.
Absolutely.
We came up with a product.
Absolutely.
We had, if I say sample, it's not like we're sampling the product.
Yeah,
we actually went through the sampling process, deciding on whether it should be studded, the colors, all of those things, working together with Alex.
There was regular and wildfire too.
There was all of those. Yes. So that experience actually gave us the whole gamut, if you like, of the marketing experience. It helped us with pricing. Look at the 4 Ps. We did pricing, we did promotions, we did the product itself, we did placement, we did the entire thing.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, we enjoyed the process of going out and rolling it out through nightclubs, all of Accra and all of those things. So there was that. By the time
KOD was telling me last year he was part of those who were helping. I didn't remember, but he was saying that Aganzi thing, that whole promotion thing, putting thing on cards, going to nightclub. There was one around Caprice.
Yes.
He said he was. I didn't know. I was like, wow. He was telling me, a year or two ago.
So that was the beginning. And then after that, we had the opportunity to pitch once again for affiliation with Saatchi & Saatchi, and we won that hands down.
Nice.
So then Originate became Saatchi & Saatchi. I guess the rest on that side is also history.
Okay. But you did Publicis as well.
Okay, so after Junior passed, Junior passed in 2006, unfortunately, and we'll speak about that a little bit regarding
the fellowship thing.
The fellowship thing. So Junior passed. Yesterday was Palm Sunday. For me, Palm Sundays, 2 dates, Palm Sunday and 9th of April, have never been the same. It was Palm Sunday, the 9th of April in 2006.
Okay.
Arsenal was playing Manchester United. We could go on and on. But anyway, so that unfortunate accident happened. Junior passed in 2006. In 2007, so I had traveled in October of 2006. And I got a phone call that Publicis were looking for an agency partner in Ghana because Nestle was putting their entire regional marketing budget to pitch.
Okay.
And they were looking at the agencies they had in Europe. So in Europe, Nestle had Publicis, they had Ogilvy, and they had McCann.
So
they're asking those groups to give them their agency partners in Ghana or in West Africa to handle marketing and branding and advertising for Nestle across. Some people call it WECA, West and Central Africa, but Nestle called it CWAR, Central West Africa region, which covered 13 countries, all the way from Mauritius and Senegal all the way to DR Congo. So they reached out to us. So in Ghana, the Publicis group owned Leo Bennett, Saatchi & Saatchi, and Publicis itself. So within that group, they were looking for their strongest agency partner. Yeah, Leo Bennett, yeah. Mr. Ado's FCB.
FCB, okay, all right, cool.
Anyway, so they said they wanted to go with Originate. I was out of the country. I said, look, I'm flying back next week. They said they'll wait for me. So they came in, we put together a deck, put together a team. It had to be separate from Saatchi & Saatchi because it had to be a publicity agency. So we went, that was also one of the biggest experiences for me because we were pitching against these multinationals.
Yeah.
All the way in Vevey in Switzerland. We did an initial, we went to Germany with Anita Eskin. I just recruited Anita to join us. So it was me, Anita Eskin, Henry, and then recruited him, he came back. So we ran that agency for, I believe, 2 years. And then, of course, Publicis decided
you wanted to come and set up
the one black man will get on there.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so they came back, set up Publicis West Africa, and then so the rest once again on that is history. But yes, we did set up the first Publicis network agency.
So when we had the blessing of working with Juni when he was with us, we were one of the most creatively awarded agencies by far. We're winning gongs.
We weren't one of the most creative agencies. We were by far. We were Ghana's most award. Look, it was we instigated under Mr. Ado's presidency to say, listen, we didn't have creative awards.
That's true.
So led by Mr. Ado and all of us, listen, we've got to. There has to be something. There was a good Mrs. Nokodia back in the day. Tim Akwaheford, Gedilai. Those were the titans of the late. Noble Asari. He's not late. The late.
Yeah, the late
Noble Asari.
Indeed, yes.
All of those. So those were the big players then. We all came together and said, look, we've got to do something.
Indeed.
So the first Gong Gong Awards, I remember clearly, were held at La Palm Royal Beach Hotel.
La Palm was the first one.
And oh boy, did we
swept.
make it! Oh,
we swept it.
Charlie, it was something else. So yes, I mean, at the time of his passing, we were far and away Ghana's most creative agent.
And interestingly, he was creative director.
He was fine. The point I was going to make, he was far and away Ghana's most awarded creative director at the time of his passing. Yes.
So why is this DHM Fellowship so interesting and pivotal for you in terms of celebrating, if you like, commemorating 20 years of his passing?
Yes. So Bob, it's been 20 years since Junior passed, and we've all. I think his greatest gift his greatest legacy is in all of us.
Absolutely.
Who had the privilege of working with him.
No question.
And I think that in as much as we will celebrate the actual work that he did, we have to give the next generation of human beings an opportunity to also learn, go through the rigor, and have the opportunity to keep passing it on. I think that's the biggest gift or the biggest legacy or the biggest way of celebrating the fact that Junior was here.
I agree.
And is no more here.
I agree.
So yes, we'll remember the Junior, the person. We'll remember Junior, his hugs. We'll remember Junior's smile. We'll remember his laugh. We'll remember his chain. We'll remember Junior, the person. We'll remember, for those of us who had the privilege of working with him, we'll remember the processes, the attention to detail, the long nights, the hungry youth trying to excel. We'll remember all of those things. But if we really want to honor him, I think it's in making sure that there are people who are thinking like him. There are people who have the opportunity he has. There are people who understand the rigor, the processes that we went through to be who we were. That it doesn't come by rote. And people need to understand that it's not a sprint; it's a marathon.
Absolutely.
We put in the work.
I agree.
And I explained to this generation of would-be advertising people.
I agree.
Look, there's something to be said for apprenticeship.
Absolutely.
Take your time. Learn the ropes. When you have it, and I say to my, and they laugh all the time, I said, look, there's no method for me catching you when you're leaving my gates, catching you and stopping you at the gate and say, because you're leaving, I'm opening your head and taking out the knowledge. It's yours for good. So pipe it down, take your time, learn it. Because once you master it, the knowledge, the expertise, the processes, and the relationships, you're done. But until then, this microwave behavior, they want to get rich quick, they want to do this, they're cutting corners, you're seeing work, you're seeing errors because nobody's proofreading. It just won't do it. It won't get us where you want to go to. So really, back to the fellowship. All of us believe that, all of us who have known Junior and my team now at the United Group all believe that, look, to celebrate Junior properly, we've got to make sure that generations after are able to follow through and become potential DHMs as well. So that's why we're instituting this fellowship, to train the next generation of potential DHMs.
So in the scheme of things, I understand the launch will be next week.
It is on the 9th of April. It will be a heavy day. It will be a happy day for us, but of course it's also 20 years since Junior passed. So we'll try and find a way of balancing the emotion of that commemorative day with the positives of, Charlie, here's an opportunity for us to see a few more DHM juniors.
So I've said everywhere I go that if you think Bob is good at marketing, it was because of my 5 years in the agency, because you learn the actual rigor of marketing from end to end.
Yeah.
So whilst it's good to get a PhD and all that, solving real problem is not the same as reading a book.
Absolutely.
So the question then becomes, what 3 or 4 leadership lessons do the 22, so what's funny is that when we were in the agency, the average age was about 23 years.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had
we're as young as this young generation. But I think we just had a different approach.
So I keep telling you that it's not like
we haven't
people
been
have been 21
been
before. We've all been 21, 22 before. So what 3 or 4 things, I mean, you just alluded to one, which is patience and going through the process.
Yes.
But what other thing, because when I tell you, think me, because my time is past, I'm just worrying them. So please, you two, today tell us, what 3 or 4 big leadership lessons do the African youth need to sort of imbibe, whether there's Gen Z, Gen A, or AI, or Gen Alpha? Like, there are some things are timeless in my estimation. What would you say?
Bob, I spoke about the first one. I think I tell my people all the time that for me, the most important thing is attitude.
Indeed, indeed.
And I say to them that aptitude is important.
Indeed.
Because Bob, in the business we're in, we don't sell cameras, we don't sell clothes, we don't sell cars.
Absolutely.
We sell essentially brain power by hour.
Absolutely.
We're walking into somebody's boardroom.
Yes,
a brand that has built, sometimes the brand itself is older than you.
Indeed.
And you have the nerve, the audacity, and the temerity to walk into a boardroom and go and tell them, you know this thing you are doing?
Yeah.
Do it this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It must be based on knowledge.
Absolutely.
So the aptitude is non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
But over and above aptitude, Bob, is the attitude.
I agree.
Because attitude tells you when your aptitude itself is not enough.
I agree.
Attitude tells you that even though you are the A star person in the room, your input is not complete without that other person that you are looking at and thinking, this guy can have.
What's he saying? Indeed.
Because it's all of us.
Indeed.
Attitude tells you that we are only as strong as our weakest link.
Indeed.
But let me give you an example. Back in the days when we were pitching for various things, and even today,
we used to rehearse
one thing and rehearse till we were as
I say one day I asked Junior that Charlie, Junior, I be sharp boy, make a go out. He said, Bob,
you lie.
It's not the sharpness.
You lie.
We need to.
It's a baton.
It's a baton.
What you are even saying when you are passing it on?
It
was rehearsed.
Judy said, Bob,
when we walked into a presentation, we had everything against us.
But we're in sync all the time.
Because we were small boys.
Indeed.
So we're going into that pitch against the big boys, the established brands, people who had the relationships we didn't have. So we didn't have
the luxury of connections.
We didn't have any of those.
It just had to be pure discipline.
So we needed to know the material.
Absolutely.
We needed to have researched and understood what the competition was doing.
Absolutely.
And we needed to be totally seamless.
Absolutely.
Bob, after a while, I knew what Junior was going to say.
I also knew.
I knew what I was going to say.
I also knew.
When I was passing it on to you, you knew.
I knew because we had gone over it over and over and over again. I remember.
That's what got us to. Anyway, so attitude for me is non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
And then I've explained to people that, look, there are cheaper ways of making money.
Indeed.
This advertising business.
It's tough,
if
man.
you don't have a passion for it. If there's nothing in your belly that makes you, if there's no pride in seeing the work out there, in seeing that this was the problem and this is where we moved it to, and smiling because a client is happy, not you, a client, somebody else is happy.
And you created great value. Yeah.
If you don't have it,
no,
it's
not.
Find some bank.
They
are paying very good
exactly.
money.
You
go.
Yeah.
But if you have that passion,
indeed,
then there's no better place
than
the advertising industry. Because you get different clients, you get different brands, you get different problems, you get different. You meet all kinds of people.
I agree.
Well, but the who I am today, I think is largely God's grace. But in practical terms, it's two things. It's Hashimoto School and the network I developed there, but it's also the advertising industry I'm in.
Correct.
Because I think that if I was stuck in any one particular industry, it would have limited my contacts.
Same here.
But same here, I know people in FMCG, I know people in telco, I know people in this.
Absolutely.
Because for what it's worth, you walk in there, you help them, you build a relationship. You walk in there, you help them, you build it. And that is what really keeps you going.
Absolutely.
So attitude, passion. But there's also something to be said for consistency.
Indeed.
There will be ups and downs.
Absolutely.
If your nature is to give up at every turn, if your nature is to give up because some client blasted you, if because somebody in the agency said something, because you fought with the creative director, because the creative director and account director never seem to agree. It's like the Parliament of Ghana. We follow NDC, NPP. When you see them sitting down having a drink, you wonder, are these people who are following? That's how the creative and the advertising or the creatives and the suits within the agency, they will fight.
Absolutely.
Because everybody believes, look, I'm doing this for the client. This is what the client said. No, that wasn't the brief. But we also believe that this is the most creative. But once we finish, we're brothers again. On to the next. So you've got to learn, first of all, be consistent. You've got to learn to speak up, make your opinions heard. And then like I said earlier, you've got to know that this thing, the only way to really do this thing is to be patient.
Yes, please.
And be in for the long haul.
Yes, please.
It's not a marathon.
Yes.
It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Indeed. There will be challenges along the way. There will be ups and downs.
Indeed.
You've got to be consistent. And Bob, the final thing, you've got to commit to a lifelong process of learning.
Absolutely.
Bob, brands are changing every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can see something happening on the West in the US.
Yeah.
And it takes, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years to get here, but it will get here. You've got to read, you've got to figure out what is going, how does it apply to our brands, AI, technology, things are changing all the time. What we knew then cannot be the same trick that we're trying to apply there. Yes, of course, but you build on it.
Indeed.
You learn new things, what's working here, what's not working here, what's happening in the telco industry somewhere else. And then, of course, once you're richer for it, it helps you in everything else that you're doing. So those for me will be the 5 top things: attitude, passion, consistency, patience, and then long-term commitment to learning. But
you spoke about networking, your ability to work in teams and build value together.
It's important within your agency, and of course externally as well. It's critical.
So please, sometimes the clients say I should also tell you something. They say sometimes the old school advertisers they knew with the rigor and the discipline. They say these days, some not you, but some of the other agents, they think that the brain power you bring doesn't quite merit a premium charge, because if for the life of them they are the ones who are always sort of distilling the thing again to tell you what to do, then they struggle sometimes see why they should pay you a premium. So how do you sort of balance letting the client see the value in our work? Because you can only bill at a premium when we can see. So I don't know.
Well, we've answered the question. Okay. I mean, no client is out there looking to throw money away. They're not running charities. They're not looking for who can we give money to. They are paying you based on value.
Indeed.
So, and it's not helped that technology is such that now pretty much every Tom, Dick, Harry
can think that they have a poster already.
Can take an iPhone and shoot something and post it. So the reason why they'll pay you is the value.
Indeed.
So it's not about having them see the value. It's about providing the value.
Indeed.
If there's no value that you're providing, you can go on, and if they don't see it, they don't see it. So we've got to figure out, back to my point about brain power by the hour, you've got to figure out what it is that the client is looking for. You've got to figure out what it is that the competition is doing. You've got to figure out what the industry is looking like in the next 5 years. You've got to figure out what a totally unrelated industry is doing that you can borrow from that will be relevant to the industry, to that industry. You've got to be able to engage the client, figure out what their needs are, and be there with them through the process. You made a valid point. If the client is the one that's distilling everything and bringing it to you, then yes, I mean, they're well within their rights to say, why am I paying for whatever? There's a role that the client has to play as a brand custodians themselves. They will know their brands that are seen and acted on like a partnership.
Indeed.
If you see the advertising agency or the Malcolm's agency as an agent who's there to do your bidding, so you're instructing them, just go and do it. All you want from them is to execute. You won't get the best out of them. But if they know what you know, or as much as you know, sometimes even more, if you're sharing the thoughts, if you're sharing the plans, and they're thinking with you through the process, then even when you are asleep, you can go to bed knowing that they're also thinking about it. If you treat that client-agency relationship as a partnership, you get maximum results out of it.
Okay.
And if the agencies, whichever agency, my agency, any other agency, comes to the table with that mindset, with that, I am not the agent, I am their brand custodian as well, sitting on the advertising agency side of the divide. And so you're learning with the client. You're coming to them with suggestions. You're coming to them with new ideas. You're coming to them with 20 new ideas, of which you know they'll take only 2. But you're always on top of the game. Then that value is evident. And so the client will be more than happy to pay for that value because they see that value and they're benefiting from that value. But really, if all you are doing is sending them pictures, then understandably they'll go to the person who's sending them the cheapest pictures. And you can't compete because you are not a one-man agency, so you cannot compete on the cost of selling the cheapest pictures. That's not the game we play. We play the game where we're partners, we're adding value, we're thinking with you, we're supporting you to grow those brands. And so we can all sit back and rejoice 10 years later, 20 years later, that we worked on this brand. This is where the brand was. These were the challenges, and together we navigated them and got the brand to this point. And then we can all rejoice.
On that partnership note, I need to say, Joel has been my boss for 41 years. Because when I went to Form 1, he was in Form 2 in 1985. By the grace of God, we are in 2026. So next week,
is good.
As part of the memorial, we are launching a brand new book with Joel and myself.
Yes, we are.
Called The Rules of the Marketing Communications Executive.
Yep.
We want a minimum of 1 million Ghana cedis. So if you have money, show you where we are doing launch, you come and support us. They will be happy. Then we can also pass it on. So thank you for joining this episode and thank you for listening. We'll be back with more on Titans and Trailblazers. Please have a good evening. Bye.
Bye-bye.
From finding your dream home to building a legacy for your family, the Homeowner Show has been your trusted guide.
How sure are you what you're getting is the right land? And it has to do with searches, land commission, checking social planning authority, checking everything to make sure that what you are buying is not a problem or a challenge prone transaction.
The stress of even not owning a house and constantly coughing up to rent is a big issue.
Join me, Hannah Atiasi, and my distinguished panelists as we delve into exciting conversations. Season 3 of the Homeowner Show, every Saturday at 6 p.m., only on Metro TV. Don't just own a house, build a legacy for your family.
Good morning, Ghana. Wake up to the big matters of the nation with Moro Awudu.
Good morning. Welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television.
You left power at a time when you couldn't feel secondary to speak.
Hey, I have my standards, you have your standards.
No. I'm never going to go and tell you for a second.
Every morning, live on Metro TV.
If we don't do it, our energy sector will collapse and we'll be in the darkness. And it is actually going to cost us more to be in the darkness. You lost me about 2 turns back.
2025 all the way to 2028. That's the meaning of it. Because the government says that they are extending that tax. What is sensitivity? And that's a pressure and honorable to 34%. I'm committed.
Unfiltered insights, groundbreaking perspectives.
Expenditure is key, but you can't spend when you don't have the money.
We go again next day. Good morning, Ghana.
Can I ask you something?
Yes. Go on.
Can you stay away from Patrick?
Sally, baby. You want to go?
Abiku,
They say art is a symbol because man is a symbol. Symbols are a depiction of life. They communicate the intangibles and leaves the mind awakened by the wonders of life. Our folkloric symbol show talks about our symbols in connection to our history, religion, and society's norms and traditions, from the north down to the south and in between.
The animal is called Le. But because they are found on the hill out there, the name of the hill became Le-Bon, which means when you go there, you get more of the Le to hunt or you take them as game.
Join us on our folkloric symbol show every Saturday at 4 p.m. on Metro TV.
91% of Ghana's was classified as poor.
This is Fair Generation Show, the program for smart children.
Fair Generation! Children, are you ready?
Welcome to Junction 5 Lounge. Bar, grill, chill.
You know, say me the Lord for the whole area. We don't control every street for here. My name is Lord Gaza.
Lord Gaza.
You do hear they mix liquor and things. I beg you, if you do what? If you gather something, otherwise, I feel gather boys. You are bad you now and see.
Landlord, I beg this one. I beg you for understanding. Hello. As young people, you need to be able to make decisions that will better your lives.
If you give this money to me, I would have bought you nice clothes, like look nice, change my nails, like.
Oh, lift it.
Hey, it be such God answer prayers.
Nanama Ejewa, is this the class you're supposed to be taking?
Please.
Nanama,
please,
is this really happening? What be the source of your word? What's the source of your poverty?
Are you bad days? Coconut. Are you bad days? Coconut that.
Point of correction. I no be Lord Gaza anymore. If you call me Yao.
Oh, Brian.
Hey, all this we should call you this one. Brian for where?
Well, I'm John Cena. Hey, see now what I'm doing there. You can't see me.
Your lounge has been placed at number 10. But after today,
number
I think,
10?
Yeah. After today, I think I'll place you guys at number 5, depending on the taste of your food. Yes.
When Ginny scared about a child and said, okay, you're thinking about what? What is going on with you?
You know one thing, you guys are so incompetent these days. Look here, I'm talking to you, you know that's the truth.
Supplies! You're surprised I've surprised you.
Lord Gaza, M-H-O-V, Lord Gaza.
Basu,
I'm boss with the come.
I say you did lie. Me I did lie. You did lie. How the girl feel you?
Made in Germany in 30 minutes. A bird as a scarecrow? That's Tukuman's job description at the airport of Nantes. This raptor has been trained to protect airplanes from birds because they pose a big threat, especially during takeoff and landing. We go on the lookout with a feathered watchdog. Focus on Europe in 90 minutes.